Hi guys, Victor from Tech Heads here. Before we get started today, I would like to announce once again that our Patreon is officially live, but this time with some extra features. When you sign up, you officially become a producer of the show. This means that you will get access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content such as our extensive show notes. On top of this, you will also have access to the episodes 4 days earlier than everybody else. If this sounds good to you, feel free to check it out at patreon.com/techheads.
4,
Now on with
3,
the show.
2, 1. So, here we go.
How you all feel tonight?
Recording, perfect. Yeah, so basically, on a typical morning, I wake up like, I don't know, 7-ish, like at the earliest, sometimes 6:30. It really depends on how bad Pablo has to go. But anyway, this morning, on the morning that I can usually sleep in till whenever I want, he decides to get on the bed and kiss me awake and make me wake up at like 6:45. I was like, dude, it's Saturday. So yeah, basically took him out because of course he has to go. And like what, I'm not going to go back to sleep. It's like, I have to prep for the pod. I have to, make coffee and whatever. So, yeah, that's when I decided to just like, okay, I got to go to a coffee shop and just take some notes, do some research, get some news ready, find out what I want to talk about today. And I get there, I'm chilling, just like doing my thing. I'm in the zone. And then my friend who lives in the building, I see him like ordering coffee and food and stuff. I'm like, God damn it, I have to say hi and talk to him for 30 minutes now. So yeah, that killed time. I was like, hi, thank you so much. Like, thanks for hanging out, but I really gotta get going on this podcast. He's like, whoa, you have a podcast? What are you guys talking about today? And I was like, you know what? This is a great opportunity. This will be me trying to articulate what I'm talking about to somebody for the first time. So this is great. So yeah. I sat him down. I was like, okay, do you know what a headless CMS is? He's like, nope, no idea. I was like, okay, perfect. And then I took him through it and talked to him and used some great examples. And he's like, oh, that's great. You're gonna kill this podcast. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I was thinking like, oh man, he's gonna distract me from my workflow. I'm not gonna get anything ready in time, and it's gonna kill me.
That's so cool. So you kind of got like what is it, like a test run before this?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a test run, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you're a sanity pro.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, okay. Sorry, guys. Well, Tech Heads back once again. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We're happy to be here again. We hope you're staying warm, you're staying cool, whatever the weather is, because I don't know. It's weird because I know Anna in Florida is going through like some pretty hot temps for February, in my opinion. But just a couple days ago, we got some snow. We're like, what the hell is happening? Like, just crazy weather.
Yeah, it's definitely good to be back, and it feels very different than this time last week, honestly. It's been quite warm, and I feel like it's, now it's going to be like this and worse until like, I don't know, August, September. So yeah, it almost feels like summer is here, but we've had some, really nice days to do things outdoors, but it's been also like, busy weeks, like working all day. So I'm excited, to like do some fun stuff this weekend, tidy up like my portfolio like we were talking about, and also get some rest, catch up on sleep and stuff.
That's the goal. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So for me this week, it was interesting. So I had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. So I had this great 5-day weekend that I mentioned last episode, and to no surprise, I got bored. I was like, what are we going to do? So like, I mean, we did some cool like daytime adventures and stuff, but like I said, they were daytime adventures. So they weren't taking up the majority of my time. And I was still waking up early because of our dog and staying up late. So I was like, what should I do? Like, it's great to have time off. I think it's super important. Luckily, our company like really encourages it and expects you to take a lot of time off just so you could, get some rest. But so I decided like, you know what, I'm actually going to take advantage of this because I have been really bad about taking time off. So I took the time off and I had no plans on what I wanted to do. And then, in the middle of my time off, I was like, you know what, I should revamp my portfolio site again. And I think it's like just a classic thing that every dev wants to do. They're like, oh, I want to redesign this. I want to redesign that. Like as soon as you're done building it, it feels like a week later, you're like, I want to change this and that. Like maybe you came across something on, I don't know, some sort of blog post, or maybe you came across a small little tool that you want to implement, or a new, I don't know, something as big as like implementing a completely new stack or a framework or library, whatever it is. So that's been kind of happening too many times since I built it the first time. And I don't know, I started like really jamming it with too many things, too many buttons, and I don't know, like implementing the podcast audio on the website. I just didn't like how that looked. It started looking kind of clunky. And I also didn't like that I was using some sort of like form service that handles form submission. So I was getting so many spam forms on there, with the exception of like a couple authentic ones. Yeah. So I was getting really tired of that, and I wasn't using a true like framework or library. It was just very simple. Sorry, there's a bug in my face. So I came across this guy, JavaScript Mastery, on YouTube, and he took you through basically like this awesome Jamstack portfolio tutorial, and I was like, you know what, let's do that. So I went through it, and I loved the stack that he was using. And there was one thing in particular that was incredibly like mind-blowing to me that is actually today's focus on a Headless CMS, but I won't reveal what it is exactly just yet. But anyway, I got really excited to do that, so I decided to completely scrap my portfolio site and just start from the ground up and try something new. So I think that's like super common in devs, to be honest. Like we're just like constantly learning new things. So then we're like, oh, what we did last year sucks. Like let's do something brand new and like try something new. And I think that's a really cool quality to have. Yeah, and you recently redid yours too, like a couple months ago, and it looks so good.
Yeah, I also followed a tutorial by that guy. I think he's really legit, and the tutorials are great, like especially depending on what kind of stack, like if you're interested. I wanted to learn more about Next.js, which is built on React.js. And then I also wanted to use I wanted to do it, using a more elaborate, deployment, or like a Git workflow with CI/CD. So that's how I learned how to. Not only did I learn how to do the stack by following along, with his tutorial, but then I also learned a bit more about Travis CI and all of that stuff. And so the funny thing is I redid my portfolio because it was right after I got this Mac, and I was like, okay, well, I got to give my Mac, a test run. Like I need to get used to it, like the new features, the new keyboard and all that. So I was like, I might as well just build a portfolio, so that's what I did. That was the first project. And I'm still working on it today because I transitioned from Travis CI to GitHub Actions. I mean, I just feel like it's so easy, and all it took was like one YAML file, and I can, every time I push to like a specific branch, it deploys it to GitHub Pages, but then I point it to my custom domain. So it's just so seamless and easy. But yeah, it's I'm still not like quite happy with how it looks. I want to like do more things to it, but I am very I like how performant it is. It's very quick to load, so I like that. And now tied into what we're going to be talking about today, that's probably going to be like my next my like portfolio 2.0 is going to be implementing, a CMS to be able to add like more content. So that's what I want to plan on doing over the next couple weeks or months.
Let me just say, it's a game changer. Like, it's crazy. So, for context, like with my old website, which I was really happy with, I thought it looked really good, but I don't know, it wasn't using anything super interesting. Like I wasn't using a framework or a library. I was using SAS, but like, I mean, other than that, like it was so simple and easy. It was deployed on GitHub Pages. It was just, straight out of the gate, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But
right.
One thing that was so annoying was if I wanted to update anything, I literally had to do it. I had to go into the code and update the content, or if there was I post the podcast episodes on there, and I don't know, it was just a small little thing that I hated doing. Like, I mean, luckily I knew the code of my website really well, so I knew I knew how not to break it. But if I don't know, further down the line, like I had somebody doing it for me, like updating the website or the episode on the website. I don't know, just like it's not super user friendly. Like you have to delete a line of code, and then like there's all this like room for error. Like it's just not ideal, especially if first, like let's say you made a website for a client, and then you want them to be able to update content on a day-to-day basis or whenever they want. It's not super cool for them to like, they have to look at code that they're not super familiar with. They don't know how it works, but they just do their best and hope it doesn't break. Like it's just not an ideal situation. So a content platform or a content management system, whatever you want to call it, is, kind of the way to go. So actually a content platform treats the content on your site as if it was data, and it's not I don't know. Okay, maybe we should just kind of jump into headless CMSs and sanity, because we're talking about sanity today. So I think that was a great transition. Let's just get into it. How about that?
It's going to be insane.
It's going to be insanity.
Insanity.
All right. So how about we go back to the old school days of some websites or whatever. So yeah, let's go back to the old school days where content actually had to be directly embedded into the code, which, for context, that's how I treated my website. It wasn't very dynamic like that. It was clear from the beginning of these websites that this was not going to scale super well. And I don't know, think about it. So like if you have like a blog website, or I don't know, you're a restaurant and you want to update like your hours or whatever, you had to basically go into this HTML file and update it yourself in the code. And that might be fine once or twice or whatever, but what if you wanted to like do it again and keep doing it like throughout the week? Like, no, you're not going to go into the HTML file and like replace all the content in that file with your new content. Like that's for cave people. It's just, it's ridiculous. So, luckily around 2002, 2003, I think, these content management systems kind of came out, like WordPress, and, I think it was 2003, I think. Anyway, in this model, the content was stored in a database like MySQL, and then it was injected into this HTML template. And, WordPress is still relevant. It's still around. I've built a couple WordPress sites for clients. Like it's great. It's fine. Whatever. It's still alive and kicking for a bunch of big companies, but, I don't know, like, once the new fancy JavaScript frameworks and libraries started coming about, there was obviously a high demand to use them because of how quick they are. And a bunch of other reasons. But the big demand really was to display the same exact content on your site across all devices and systems dynamically, or even across like different views that you have set up that you want to display the same exact content, if that makes sense. This is probably where the CMS comes into play. So a headless CMS, this is a quote, by the way, a headless CMS turns your content into a cloud-based API so that it can be accessed from any app. And the term headless comes from an uncoupling of the head. The front end is the head, and the body, which is the back end. They are an absolutely crucial layer in the modern tech stack. With them, you can completely customize how your content is modeled and build your own schema for things like text or images and create relationships like you would in a relational database.
Yeah, good definition. I feel like that's a good analogy to think of it, because I know that like up to recently, I struggled to like understand the concept of a headless CMS, but then the more I've seen them being in use, because Sanity isn't the first one. I mean, just for my senior project, I was helping add features and like enhance a particular workflow for a project that was already, that had already a bunch of developers and was like a full-fledged, web app. And they used a CMS called Blockly. So that's exactly the same thing. Like you have a portal where you can go in, you can add new users or create new custom fields, and then you can feed all of that information via API into your front end, which ours was built with React. So yeah, it's such a neat concept. And if you think about it, like I think that a good scenario, like you said, would be for non-technical or like non-developers that don't have to worry about diving into the code, or repackaging it, rebuilding it, deploying it, because the connection between the front end and the CMS is already established. So all they have to do is just log into this, content management system and upload whatever content they want to add. And then, the front end will already take care of that. So I think that it's like a game changer for when you're doing freelancing projects, that you kind of want to just be like, okay, I'm done with this project. Here are the keys to the kingdom. You can log in, add your content, remove your content, do whatever, but I won't have to change anything on the front end, nor will you. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, Sanity, we chose Sanity just because it's a great example of a content platform that allows you to basically model your content with JavaScript, if you're familiar with it, and manage it all in the browser, so not in an IDE or whatever. And it is particularly popular for Jamstack apps. Yeah, it is nice because, like you said, like you hand the keys over to like anybody, and they can just go onto their browser and update their content, and they're not overloaded with like everything that comes with something like WordPress. Like it's just super lightweight. It's quick and easy. It's almost immediate. There's no lag time for like having all this like, I don't know, all of these systems on top that you would think lag your website. But I mean, for instance, like my website, I was kind of worried because I wasn't using a CMS or anything like that with it. But I don't know, when I first came across them, I was like, man, this is going to really slow down my site. And I don't know, people are going to not want to be interested in it because it's not going to load as quickly. But holy crap, it loads actually faster. And it's so nice. Like I literally just log on to like, I don't know, when I'm developing, at least I go to like localhost 3333, and I just update or delete or add like anything I want, and I don't have to touch any code, which is really nice. And yeah, like the everyday person can touch it too. Like if I don't know, even if you were a coffee shop or oh my gosh, like anything like that where it was like a small business, maybe you made a little website for them, and you don't want them to have to worry about touching code. Like they're going to be so turned off by that idea that they're going to like just not even want to bother with you. So if you give them something super user friendly and easy that even they can use with no background in coding or whatever, that's an easy sell. Like just being able to log on, and if it's even quicker than WordPress, because WordPress can be like like insanely slow sometimes. So if it's lightning fast, like that is just a huge selling point for them for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that even, there's also I feel like I've made this misconception before where I'm like, okay, as a software engineer or a developer, I want to do things the hard way, which is like, oh, I need to like look at the code, otherwise I don't feel as legit. And I'm sorry, but
True.
at like where I'm at now, if I have access to something where you literally fill in, description, upload a picture, and you press save, and it's already going to populate your site, I'm sold. Because I mean, why reinvent the wheel? Why overcomplicate something that you can solve like the problem by using a headless CMS? So I feel like it's just as much as it is for a non-technical user, it can be for a very technical user as well. Because like you said, I mean, we've worked with WordPress before, and I didn't like it. It was so clunky, and yeah, sure, you can download plugins and do all of these customizations and everything, but I just thought that it was too complicated of a tool. Like it's one of those legacy systems that they just kept adding features and features and features, and it's just, yeah, sure, it's still in use, but there's so many other different technologies now that will do whatever WordPress is trying to do much better and faster, and cheaper, like potentially, you never know. So yeah, it's really cool. I mean, as someone who likes to learn like new stacks, new tools, and things like that, this one is highly recommended, like for anything that you're doing, and as a freelance project, that's something that should probably give you like a quick turnaround as well.
Yeah, and just to be super clear, like this isn't a Sanity sponsored episode. Like it's just the one that we chose for this episode because I recommended it because it was the one that I used on my portfolio website recently. So I was really hyped on it, so I wanted to talk about it with you guys. But there's so many other headless CMSs out there. Like you can choose any of them. They're probably going to do basically the same thing. But the main point that I wanted to get across was that the data for your website is no longer directly embedded into your code that you would have to manually change, in that it's stored in a cloud via a content link, I think, that can be queried from the front end. So you would have like some sort of dynamic tag that's like, I don't know, title or body or image or, something along those lines that you set up in your schema. And then via Sanity, you can update it just in a super nice user interface. And yeah, I mean, like Anna said, like, it's so tempting to be like, oh, I mean, I know how to code. Like, I might as well just do it in the code. Like, that's fine. But as I mentioned before, like not everybody wants to do that by any means. Like they want it to be as quick and easy as possible. So yeah, that's where something like a headless CMS comes into play. And it is really like the middle layer in basically every Jamstack app. Like there's some sort of content management system that's involved. And it is really the, what's the word? I don't know how to say this in a really nice advanced term, but it's the go-to for like every developer built app or web app or website or whatever for usually a smaller sort of business. Like if you're going to build something from the ground up that's like a larger software solution, there's going to be a lot more involved for sure. But I mean, for something small, like for instance, my portfolio site, setting up the backend for my site, I'm not even joking, took 5 minutes. When in past projects that I've done, setting up the backend has been the thing that takes the longest, like hours of work and figuring out like the docs that you're working with, or, all the paths and like setting up the API. Like it has been like the most dreaded sort of thing, and it just takes so long. But yeah, seriously, it took less than 10 minutes to set it up.
Right.
Yeah, all I did was I set up my project. I hadn't like built it or anything, but I set up the project folder, and then I installed Sanity with npm, and then it prompted you to log in with like your Google account or your GitHub, or you can just set up your your own email user login, and then you name the project, and then in the term, like this is all in the terminal, it asks you if you want to select like a data set template. So like I think there was e-commerce, restaurant, movie, and then there was like clean project. So I just selected clean project because that's what the tutorial kind of told me to do, and I trusted them. And blog, that was another one. And then from there, like you just set up your schema, you figure out all of the data points that you want to dynamically change throughout the existence of your website. And if you find more, you can find more and set it up super easily or get rid of them. And then once your schemas are set up, you just run sanity start, go to localhost 3333, like I said, and that takes you to the nice GUI that you can use to like update all of your data, and it changes the game. Like I'm not joking. It is just so insane how easy and quick it is. I love it so much.
Yeah, I think that, it's quite different like when you're working with a full stack app that has a database, where like you can create or like you can have a back end that will have maybe like a model, that you can go in and add like essentially the same sort of information, or like you have like a content portal on the back end that is going to add those details and then push it into the database. But I think that like for something that you don't need a database, then I mean, by all means, like use a headless CMS, because if essentially it is like a data management system sort of, I think it's just more lightweight because like you said, we're also talking about like a portfolio sites. Now, if you're going to have I don't know. It's probably good to like look at their documentation if you're interested and look at the quotas, for like storage and all that stuff. But for like, if you're going to be pushing, like you want to upload, video files or things that do take up a lot of space, then maybe a database is the way to go. But like if you're just talking about maybe some text, links to like a project or, just to any other web pages out there, maybe look at, a headless CMS. I mean, it just really depends on the context. But like you said, even when you're setting up your project, it prompts you to look at their templates. And I did see the blog one. So it just shows how it's, like for a restaurant, I feel like why wouldn't this be ideal? I mean, you have like perhaps like your phone number, contact information, address, your operating hours and things like that. Some pictures, maybe like a menu, and so I feel like this is like ideal for some kinds of businesses. But that's not to say that you can't turn it into like an e-commerce. I mean, they have a template for that as well, So yeah, it's very cool though. There's so many possibilities with this new tool. And Sanity is the one that we chose to talk about, but there are like a bunch of them out there. And a cool thing I saw on the Sanity website, Wes Boss, which is like a legit, web developer, he endorsed it. So I think that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw him. I was like, oh, I know who that guy is. He does syntax.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of confirmed everything. I was like, oh hell yeah! Like he approves, I approve for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I think I mentioned before was that like I was a little hesitant for a couple different reasons, but on a general level, developers may all be kind of hesitant at first in adopting a CMS because they feel like they don't have like full control over their data or ownership over their data. But it's just so nice because like the CMS allows you to deliver your data and content however you want versus like, in WordPress, like you do feel so limited in like how you want to present your content or make it dynamic. And, whatever you might want to do, it might involve having to download a plugin again that just overloads your website, or like make your own plugin, which is just so much work because then you have to be like, well, how do I make a plugin first of all? But you don't have to worry about that here. But then another concern that they may have is that they might be like sort of locked into the tech stack that they're working with and not be able to really move things around, or they might not be able to redesign their website however they want. But it's nice because Sanity is so flexible that you don't have to really touch a thing. So like if you're using React, like my website's using React, if I want to switch to Vue, I can switch to Vue no problem. I don't have to worry about the back end part of it, which is usually the biggest headache in terms of like changing around your stack or whatever. Like you just might as well start over. But since my back end for Sanity is already set up, like I would just have to rewrite some of the front end via Vue, obviously, if I was coming from React. But I wouldn't have to worry about the content or the data. Like that'd all be all set in Sanity. So yeah, that's kind of why we wanted to talk about it, just how mind-blowing it is that it's so easy to keep track of the hardest part of, and the most dreaded part of usually what is entailed in building something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another thing I saw in their website is that it's considered, like they call it an open source single page application. It ships as an open source single page application, but it allows you to build like your own plugins and integrate like into your own application. So like if you want, just like WordPress has a bunch of plugins, you can do that as well. So yeah, it's pretty nifty. Yeah, no, I guess I think my kind of like my closing thoughts about Sanity, with according to their documentation and my interpretation of it, I also saw that they do refer to it as being able to ship as an open source single page application. So you can build or not build, and implement plugins as you wish. There is that ability, because I know that I pointed that out with the WordPress, like the whole ability to like have all these plugins so you don't have to worry about the code or whatever, but you can do that, with Sanity too. So I think that that's really neat.
Yeah, I haven't looked too much into that portion of it, but I did see that somebody had some crazy customization to their interface, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, of course you could do something crazy with the back end of it and what the user actually interacts with on the daily. So yeah. I mean, guys, like if you aren't sold on Sanity, like what the hell is wrong with you? we really back it. West Boss backs it. If that's not enough for you, like I don't know what is. He's like the king. So check it out if you're interested. Let us know.
They have a free plan too, so you can play around with it for free.
I didn't even mention that. Yeah, I spent $0 using it. And then also I do want to talk about what I use to actually deploy my website. So you would think I would use something like Heroku or GitHub Pages or whatever, but I actually ended up using Netlify, and that was super easy to use. Holy crap. So
really,
I was originally using GitHub Pages for my website, and I had my domain name like connected to it and everything, and it was nice and whatever, but there were a couple times where my website would just go down for no like particular reason that I could find, and it always like I would always like see this little buffer sort of loading page in the settings of my repo where it would say like it can't connect to like the DNS or it can't connect to my domain name, and I saw that happening a lot, and that was like one of the starting points of me thinking about like, oh, maybe I should use something like Netlify or whatever. And and at that point I was like, okay, I might as well just start over, build from scratch, whatever. So yeah, my website's on Netlify, and
nice.
My domain name is on GoDaddy, and it was so easy just like setting that up. It took like 2 minutes. I was expecting like, okay, it's going to take 2 days for my domain name to like even transfer over from GitHub Pages and GoDaddy to Netlify, like whatever. And it was seriously like less than an hour. I was ready to use my whole name .com, and my website was like connected and everything. And similar to Heroku, like I deployed it all through the terminal. I didn't have to do anything. And then except for when so basically, if you guys aren't aware, if you're about to deploy your web app or whatever it is, usually you run something like npm run build, and then it creates this like optimized version of your project in a build folder. So with Netlify, I'm sure there's another way to do it, but what I ended up doing was dragging the build folder over to my project in Netlify, and then it immediately became live. So whenever I would make changes, I just drag that folder over, and then it puts the changes in. So I know there's a terminal version of that for sure. I just haven't like looked into it or figured it out. I was just too excited that it was that easy. So yeah, I back Netlify too. And I'm pretty sure Wes Boss also backs that one, because I think I've heard them talk about it in old Syntax episodes. But yeah, Netlify is awesome if you're looking for an alternative to GitHub Pages.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I still have mine with GitHub Pages, because I wanted to go from Travis CI to GitHub Actions. So like you set up your YAML file, and then you drop that on a branch. So like right now I have my Git workflow is I develop under the branch develop, and then I create pull requests, to merge into the production branch. And that production branch has the actual YAML file that will then trigger that action and rebuild the whole project. And then that gets published as a GitHub page that then points to my custom domain name. So yeah, with Travis CI, it was kind of similar. It detected changes to a particular branch in my repository and then rebuilt the whole thing. So it's kind of cool. Like after you create the file in whatever branch you want, like whatever is going to be like your main, your master, your production or whatever, you create that file that will watch for changes in the branch. And then you can like see, if you go under the actions tab at the top, you can see it like every time you push to that branch, you see it rebuild, like building every single, going through like the steps, and then eventually it gets to deploy. So I know that I got stuck like last week. I was like, oh my gosh, it has to be something really silly. But eventually I had to like just tidy a few things up on my, I think it was just on the file itself. I didn't have to change anything on my code, like the actual project. So yeah, it makes it super simple. I think I'm averaging like around 45 seconds for it to deploy. It's an Next.js project, so it's really quick. Yeah, I think that with Travis CI, it took a little longer. I was also under the free tier, but then I don't know. I thought that like I could continue using, I only had that one project. I could continue using it as my like CI/CD, and then for some reason I couldn't get past like this one payment requirement, even though I was on the free account. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna look at GitHub Actions for now. But yeah, so I'm happy with that now that I figured it out. Like for Node packages, Node projects, there's like they give you the template for that YAML file that you need. But I have heard good things about Netlify as well, because I know when I was at the boot camp, Heroku was the tool of choice, but it was I remember like for some of the group projects or like individual projects, whenever we deployed it, it was so daunting to me, because I was like, oh God, okay, now I got it working locally and I have to push it to Heroku, create like the app and everything. And there was always a little something, like you had to create like a little like a PHP index.php file with like one asterisk or whatever it was, like something weird. Yeah, it was just like all sorts of little things. And but yeah, I mean it did like, make me feel legit, like knowing how to deploy, like ship and like package and ship an app and everything. But yeah, like I said earlier, there's some tools that make it so easy for you nowadays that sure, like you can go through like the hassle of trying to figure out if you're going to run into any errors, do it all through the command line, or you can do it like you said, you literally just drag an out folder into Netlify and then you're done, like that is crazy. That didn't exist when I was at that boot camp, so I mean, why not try a tool that does it, that like really keeps it simple for you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely check out Netlify if you're thinking about switching over to something like that. Yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, okay. So switching over to something else entirely. I just came across this. This just came across my desk, as they say in the business world. So I don't know if you've heard of this, Anna, but there's this new like luxury Star Wars hotel. Have you heard of it in Disney?
Oh, of course. Sam is a hardcore fan. Are you kidding? She's already looked into staying there.
Yeah. So I came across it just because of the price point. What's it? It's called the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. And it's like a luxury hotel in Disney World, right? I don't think it's in Disneyland. Is it just Disney World for now?
Yeah, I don't know if there is like a Disneyland hotel, Star Wars hotel. I'm not sure. I only know of the one here.
Yeah, that's probably the only one. So anyway, so the whole package to stay there, and this is just the starting price. This is not the average normal price. The starting price for staying at this hotel is $4,809, which is...
Is it for one night?
Yeah. Oh, the maximum is 2
one
days.
Night?
It might be 2 days, so one night. Yeah.
I can't believe it. Isn't that crazy? I mean, Sam looked into it because she is a diehard Star Wars fan. Like, she knows everything. It's quite amazing how much someone can know about it. But she does. And I know that she mentioned it. I mean, I would love it, if one day we were able to go. I think that it's going to be so restricted, not only for the cost, but like there's going to be a huge wait list, to try and stay there. And they have like the 2-day limit. But yeah, I know she's really excited about it. I don't know like if, that's going to pan out, but yeah, it's supposed to be like super immersive. So, obviously at that price point, they're trying to justify like how much you would pay to stay there. But I don't know. We'll see. Is it open yet?
No,
or no?
It is not open
not
yet. The article that I'm reading, it came out, let's see, February 26th. And this was an exclusive first look. So, and when I Googled it, it said on Google... whatever it's called, just on Google, it said that it was temporarily closed, so that makes me think that it's just not open completely yet. Yeah, the price point is crazy, but I mean, looking at the pictures, because he was allowed to take pictures, it seriously looks like the most immersive experience into something that you're diehard about, and
yeah,
it is really hard to say that that if you're a hardcore fan that you wouldn't cough over that kind of money. Because like, in my opinion, like, okay, so like, let's say it was something that I was diehard about. Because to be honest, like I like Star Wars a lot. I've seen all of them. I like keep up with it, but I wouldn't pay that much money to experience it as if I lived in that world. Because I've never really wanted that. But, for something like Harry Potter, for instance, like that I am diehard about, I would probably spend that kind of money to stay there for a couple days and like, pretend you're in the castle or like go to these little like demonstration classes or whatever, like eat in the Great Hall, stay in the common rooms. Like, I think I would honestly like cough over that kind of money. Cause I mean, even going to Universal, like going to the Harry Potter world was like amazing. It was immersive and it was awesome, but it is sort of short lived. You can only go on the ride so many times. You can only stay there for so long because there's so many other places to explore in Universal. So, but yeah, a 2-day experience of being in something that you're passionate about, like, yeah, I can kind of justify that. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that there is like some things, I think like for Harry Potter, I probably would too. That would be like an amazing experience. But I get like, for the Star Wars fans, I mean, some of them were like diehard and Sam definitely is. So it's something that she's kept an eye on. And I think she told me about that, like around that price range too, like a couple months ago when we were talking about it. I was like, well, maybe, if we can afford it by like your 35th birthday or something, it'll be like a big milestone, a big birthday. We could we could try and go. But I told her, I was like, look, as much as I really do like Star Wars, I don't think I'm a big enough fan to go and pay that much. So maybe, you could go with a friend who loves Star Wars just as much, and then you guys can geek out and do your thing. And I'll be happy for her, going. But yeah, it's mainly about her, not for me as much, So I'm sure like some of her friends are just as big into Star Wars as she is. So I feel like that would probably make more sense.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. But apparently, like, it is so immersive that it gets crazy before you even get there. So, okay, so this is a quote from the article.
Right.
The Galactic Star Cruiser experience starts at a spaceport where you'll ride a transport pod up to the Halcyon proper. I don't know. We would need Sam in the room to pronounce that word, but
Right.
yeah. Anyway, the lines between hotel and ride blurring together from the start. So like, it is really cool. Like, it is a little bit like a roller coaster, but it is also like an insanely immersive world that you're in. That is kind of like a ride that you never get off without, the motion sickness, I guess. Like you're interacting with characters. You're in these scenes that you've seen in the movies so many times. Even like the smallest things, like doors opening and like the food they eat, probably like I don't know. Like I could really totally see that like people would look at that price point and be like, you know what? I've been a Star Wars fan since the 70s or the 80s. I've always wanted to be in them. Might as well just pay the money and actually experience it for 2 full days. So if you're a Star Wars fan out there, like, go ahead, check it out, see what even the sleeping accommodations, like it looks like you're like literally what are they called? Soldier. What are the soldiers called again? Oh my God. This is
Stormtroopers?
Stormtrooper, yeah. Like sleeping in the Stormtroopers bunkers, like just it's insane. So yeah, if you're curious, go check it out. This is like
just short of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was all I was saying. Yeah, just if you're curious, go check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it sounds like it's just short of like being in the metaverse, but I think it's even cooler because it's for real. You're living in it. So it's I'm excited to see like what other footage and like I don't know experiences people are gonna post like on YouTube when they can, when they do eventually open it. But I think that should be coming up pretty soon. So there's gonna be big. I think there's already like big hype surrounding it. So we'll just we'll see. I think I'll probably just watch the videos, and if Sam gets to go, I'll be super pumped. It is what I want for her, but I probably won't. I just don't think that I can justify it. Maybe when Harry Potter decides to follow suit, then we'll reassess.
I think it's possible. Like at this point, if Star Wars is doing it, why not Harry Potter? Like I feel like that's long overdue anyway. This is just, okay. So I was scrolling through the article and I just came across this. I didn't really think about this, but. Okay, so here's like the start of this quote. Immersion is the name of the game here. Each sign is written in both English and the fictional Arabic alphabet. Every cast member, waiter, room service attendant, and bartender is in character the entire time, and elaborately costumed guests chat with you about their own lives to help draw you into the world. So, I mean, that's awesome. Wow. Like it is cool because like in Harry Potter world or Star Wars world or whatever you want to call it, any of those, you always see like the people dressed up because they're so into it, but you see a ton of people who aren't. Maybe they feel slightly left out, but they're like, you know what, I'm going to Jurassic World right after this. Who cares? With this, it's like, oh my God, I can wear my robe, or I can wear my Stormtrooper costume, whatever, and then you're normal, like you fit in. Being so like immersed into it. And I think that is really cool for like all the nerds out there who are really, really passionate about Star Wars for sure. And I don't mean nerd in a bad term. I mean like literally like you're a nerd, like as in like you geek out, you know everything about it. That's your life. Like I mean it in the best possible way.
Right.
You can nerd out.
It'll be cool. Yeah, exactly. So I guess we'll see. We can, see in a couple of months, like what else is going to come out of that and then talk about it too.
At
I'm
first,
excited.
I thought it was a cruise when I first read the title. It's because it's a Star Cruiser. So I thought it was like a Carnival Cruise, but it's only Star Wars stuff. So
right.
I had to dig a little deeper to find out that it's just a luxury hotel. But that's probably for the better anyway. That would suck if anything happened and you're like like an emergency situation on a cruise ship, but then you're wearing your Star Wars stuff and it just takes you out of it completely and might even scar you for life.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have some cool news too.
Yeah,
I came across an article just earlier today that there's a poll that was conducted, I think last year or since, a survey of 2,000 adults, and it was recently conducted by one poll. And apparently their conclusions are that the average American has made 5 new friends through video gaming in the past year alone. So I thought that this was kind of cool. And, if you think about it, video games have been around for the longest time, like 40 or 40 plus years now, I would say. So I thought that it was really cool because I'm not very big into gaming, but I mean, we know the industry only gets bigger with all like the competitions and, video games get like, there's this whole hype about like new releases, and online gaming, has grown so much, especially after, the pandemic, I feel like, because I mean, we can go out, so like that's the interaction that you had with other people. And I didn't expect it to be like this many, this number. I think that's kind of cool because I mean, it still shows that despite the lack of like, a physical connection with a friend, like in person, you still have like someone that you can, that you've befriended over over a common interest, which is neat. So, and this was like for adults, not for children. So yeah, 39% of these 2,000 adults has seen an increase in their online friend list since the pandemic began. And I thought that, I mean, if anyone, ever thought that there was that the gaming industry would grow, I mean, it just keeps growing like year on year, I think at this point. And it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's really uplifting to hear. Like, I feel like there's not much uplifting news as far as video gaming goes. That's like external. Like, like there's always like great news about new video games or new features or new systems or whatever. But then as far as like global studies done on video games, like I feel like the last one was done so long ago that it's like everybody kind of defaults to the argument like, oh, it increases hand-eye coordination, or it makes you think about, complex problems, or you're like logical reasoning. Like there's all those studies that have been published for years, and like we all know that now. Like we used to dog on people for video gaming for too long, and like there's some negatives, but obviously like there's some really great positives that come out of it. And like most of the big bosses out there, they were nerds and they video gamed and they learned so much from it. So it's cool to like hear a new study on it that it's like, whoa, this is so current and applies to like the world that we've been all living in together, no matter where you've been. And that's just awesome to hear that, like, even through something that is so antisocial by association, that people are actually able to make more friends than they were before safely, and in a world that they're like happy to be in. Like if they're playing a Star Wars game, for instance, like there's online Star Wars, obviously. So yeah, that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, it's cool, right? Because I mean, it's like a common interest, like it's not like you are befriending someone who is working with you. Because I mean, if you're working there, sure, you both probably, might like the place that you work at, but I mean, it's not like you really choose. Like there's, as adults, you have responsibility, so you have to work. But yeah, like with, a hobby, I think that it's different because you're both as excited, to be doing what you're doing. And like you said, it's, I feel like there is, a bit of stigma, at least from maybe like the conservatives or like old fashioned folks, like their misconception about gaming, how it only has negative impacts on like, teens and adults. Or in children. But I think that this was kind of like, okay, wait a second. These are the actual people that are playing these games, and this is what they say, So it's cool to see that there is like, a positive impact, and also kind of like try to overshadow, like the trolls, because I know that with gaming that is something that's prevalent as well. But it's not everyone, who's a gaming troll. Like you can still like take something good out of it.
All right. Should we jump into recommendations?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I will share one that I came across this week. It was super useful actually at work. I think I was just like showing somebody the ropes or whatever, and I wanted to have some like to like have some notes to refer to while I was presenting some stuff. So the problem with being remote and presenting things sometimes with notes, it's hard because sometimes like if your notes are on another screen or whatever, it looks like you're not paying attention to that person depending on where your camera is positioned or whatever. So
yeah,
I found this app called Transparent Note, and it's a note app, kind of like how we have recommended Bear app, which is awesome. It's my favorite note-taking app. But Transparent Note, I've been using it actually for meetings, and I put my notes in this app and open it, and you can control the transparency of the notes so then it's like a clear background. So you can put the notes directly on your video chat. So you can basically like look at the camera and make it look like you're paying attention and like really attentive to this person, but then your notes are over their face. So you can read the notes. So it looks like you're not reading notes basically. So if you've ever found yourself in a situation where you didn't want somebody to think that you were like not paying attention to them or not reading off notes, basically, you can get this app called Transparent Note, and try it out. It's really awesome. Like I said, just put it over your video chat, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't put if you're in school right now but you're remote and you have to like do stuff like that, use your own judgment on that. But I will say it's been really handy in meetings. So that's my recommendation, Transparent Note.
That's so cool. I feel like that is the same. I always try to like, at least have like the screen right below where the camera is, because I have 3 monitors, but there's only like one place where I can put my camera now. Otherwise, it just looks weird. But yeah, the whole notes thing, it makes so much sense, because I feel like we're always like looking away and just getting like the profile, of the person or like myself. But that one is a really good recommendation. Thanks. Mine, I actually have 2. Nice. And the first one, the main one, is called vitejs. I came across this. Okay, so you have heard about it. I came across this just this week. I think I was watching either like a blockchain tutorial or whatever, but it's like, how whenever you're going to start your React project, it takes a while to like build everything, maybe the first time, and then get you that localhost link that you can click and open on your browser. This one is lightning fast. You literally just run a command, which is npm create vite at latest, and it will set up the server for you like right away. I think that you have to build the React project before, but I guess if you run this, like if you install, vite on like that directory, I could be wrong. I don't know exactly, but it just like speeds up the process of setting up the server for you, so you can like start development. And I thought that this was kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure that there are like other, more elaborate uses for it, but yeah, I thought that it was neat.
Yeah, I have seen it so many times recently, and this actually might deserve its own episode actually. This is from what I've heard, it's awesome. What did you just find?
Yeah, so on their getting started page, I think apparently like if you want to make a Vue app, for instance, the command is npm create vite at latest, and then the name for your Vue app. and then dash template view. So that literally makes the whole thing for you, and it will launch the server like right away, which is, I think that is really cool, because then you're setting up them both at the same time. So you're creating already the templated view app, and it's already going to give you the server. So it's like really fast. I know that I saw in the tutorial, I was like, I can't believe it. This is really cool. But I think, you should, I think you might be able to do it with React. Let me see.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, I think that there are like other options. So maybe like in the templated command, like on the terminal, that you would just change, instead of like your template view, it would probably be React.js or something. But that is my first recommendation, and I totally agree. I think maybe we could do like an episode on this one alone after trying it out. But yeah, it's like improved front end tooling, for your web app, just to get you started like really quick.
Quick addition to that. So Vite, I'm pretty sure, I'm still trying to find confirmation on it, but it looks like, yeah, okay, it was him. Okay, so the creator of Vue.js was Evan Yu, and he also created Vite.js.
Oh, okay, cool.
I just saw a tweet from him that basically was like, oh, I was going to bed, and like I realized like this thing was taking so long, so I stayed up all night and created Vite, and it's 6 a.m. and it's done. I was like, whoa.
What the hell? Okay, so look, I actually just found the list. Apparently, there are the supported template scripts that they have, or presets are, you have for JavaScript, you can do vanilla, Vue, React, Preact, Lit, and Svelte. And then for TypeScript, you would just add the same commands I just listed. So it would be like vanilla-ts for TypeScript, and same thing for the other ones, Vue.-ts or React-ts. So quite a couple of frameworks that it supports, which is really cool.
All right, I smell a future episode coming up.
Yeah, this
nice.
one it will be worth it. My second recommendation is unrelated to this, but I just got curious because actually there I just remembered a piece of news from Monday. Slack was down, and it was all over the web, right? So I luckily I didn't experience any issues. I think that probably because of my region, depending on like the servers that I use, there wasn't really a conflict. A bunch of my colleagues were experiencing issues, so we were trying to use Teams, and I don't think that I really saw like an impact, but for me, Slack worked all day as far as I know. I got curious about the status Slack page. You know how like every like major app has like a status.slack.com or whatever it is, just to check, like, so you can go into their website. If you're suspecting an outage, you can go in and see if they've reported any incidents, any outages or whatever. So I found out that through Atlassian, which is, like the developer for Jira and Trello and all of that, there is a way that like you can pay them to like create a plan where you get your own status page, and then I guess you can like hook up to your services, so you don't have to develop the page from scratch. DigitalOcean uses it. Dropbox uses it. I think I saw like another one, but yeah, some like big name companies all use like the templated, status page. So I created one for myself today, but I haven't connected it to anything. I think I might try to find a way to like connect it to like my GitHub, like my portfolio, just in case. I just want to know like how to get it working. And so I thought that it was really cool, and they have like the free version as well. I think it's a bit limited in features and everything, but it's still it gives you like a status breakdown. It's sort of like a dashboard. You can add like the different categories that you'd be looking at. If there's a particular product, like you have those like progress bars. If it's in green, it means it's like operational and good. Or so I thought that it was really cool. I got curious because of the Slack page, that I was watching earlier in the week, and then this one is like an option, which is kind of like a boilerplate version.
That's so cool. I'm going to look into that and see if I can maybe put it on my website too. Imagine how many people are like, oh, is AOSIC down for you too?
I know. Yeah. I was like, okay, I am curious. I haven't hooked it up to anything. So, I did today was add those little badges to my GitHub README that says like the build is passing, or like those little flags, because they're dynamic. Yeah. I've always wanted to do that to like my README, and I figured it out like where to get it today. There's like a good website that you can make like your own, and yeah, it's really cool. I feel like it helps because it's like a visual aid instead of you having to like, oh, let me like go into my URL and take a look and see that everything is working. You can create notification. I think with the with Atlassian, they also have like notifications, that you can get, like if things are outside of like, the parameters, like if you set thresholds and things like that. So you can share that information with other team members, and they have like different tiers. So yeah, I recommend that. I thought it was really cool.
Good finds. That's awesome. So if you guys are building something and you're like, yo, we should implement a little status portal. Let's just do what Anna said and use that one. Yeah, awesome recommendations. Jeez, put me to shame.
Oh no.
Yeah, here I am with a clear note-taking app that anybody could have probably made. Just setting in CSS, setting like the background to clear, transparent. Like it's probably the easiest thing to build. Man.
Still very useful, right?
Yeah, no, totally useful. Yeah, I totally recommend it. I'm still using it to this day. So yeah, check it out. All of the recommendations will be linked below, and as well the news that we talked about will also be linked below. If you're a Patreon member, you will be able to read our entire notes and see what we were referring to or talking about, or if you want to see like the code snippets that we were referring to, you can look at those too. And again, that's all on patreon.com/techheads. It's only $5, I think. But if you feel so inclined, you can do even less, I believe, or more. It's totally up to the user. But if you're happy with just listening to it for free, that is making us just as happy, and we really appreciate it. So, if you are enjoying the show, let us know in the comments or the reviews. Spread the word. Tell everybody about Tech Heads podcast. And if there's something you want to hear about specifically, like give us some recommendations, please. Like we'll take anything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. If that is everything, I think that's everything, right, Anna?
Yeah, that's. I think we covered a whole bunch of stuff, but very good. Good things to discuss, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if that is everything, then I think we're out. So, Tech Heads out. Thank you guys again. See you guys next week, and peace.